In the beginning of mixed martial arts, we actually never saw the ladies in MMA fighting. Now the ladies have taken their well-deserved place in the world spotlight. Number 10 of the hottest females in MMA is Valentina Shevchenko, nicknamed the Bullet. She is one of the deadliest and most attractive fighters today. Valentina is a 32-year-old UFC flyweight champion fighting out of Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan. This incredible athlete is an outstanding kickboxing champion and Muay Thai artist. Out of 59 fights, she has 57 wins and only 2 losses. Now that's impressive. And many people say she's one of the prettiest fighters out there today. Also, she has an impressive 19-3 record in the UFC with wins against some very real competitors such as Holly Holm. Intimidating and one of the top fighters in the world. Number 9 is Kat Zingano. Super nice lady, and as a 38-year-old fighter is easily on the hottest female fighters list. At 12 years old, she started wrestling and then discovered Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 2007, and that changed her life. She was competing and winning in tournaments around Los Angeles, California. 2008 highlighted her MMA debut at Arena Fire 32 with a win over Karina Taylor with an armbar. Kat, as she is known, joined the UFC in 2013 with quite a showing in Ultimate Fighter 17 finale, where she would later fight the gorgeous Misha Tate. Kat ended up beating Tate with a TKO. Kat was supposed to coach a team against Ronda Rousey before their season-ending fight, but stuff happened. She had a devastating knee blowout, and Misha Tate replaced her in the bout against Ronda. Kat worked hard to rehab and bounced back in the fall of 2014 better than ever to fight Amanda Nunes. Kat nervously lost the first round, but in true Rocky underdog fashion, had the dramatic comeback with a TKO. Boom! Now, she later signed with Bellator in 2019. She got married and soon after that became the first mother to compete in professional MMA. What a woman. Mackenzie Dern is number 8, and some would argue that she should be number 1. Let us know what you think in the comments. Mackenzie is an American MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist. Phoenix, Arizona is where she was born, and she's 28 years old. So cool that she has already been ranked number 1 International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation competitor. She has some Brazilian in her heritage and can tell the guys off in Portuguese or English. She started training at 3. Yeah, 3, and practiced with a dad who was a black belt. Mackenzie was featured in the Invicta Fighting Championship in 2017 and lunged into the UFC in 2018. And her current superb record is 8-1. She has over 1.2 million Instagram followers and shares some classy photos that show why she's at the top of her game in the MMA and one of the hottest fighters around. Number 7 is Alexandra Albu, and she was born in former Moldova, now part of Russia, in 1990. Alexandra Albu represented the USSR in judo and karate before zeroing in on MMA. Her first pro fight was in the Octagon Fight Club in Moscow in 2013. She kicked butt and won her debut fight and then went on to sign with the UFC, where the big bucks are. The fans have come to love her in just 5 fights. Now, due to a career-ending knee injury, she no longer fights. She's moved on to a career in CrossFit and bodybuilding competitions. She's not only accomplished in the MMA world, but is also emerging as a social media celebrity. Her Instagram profile is growing in popularity every day. This 30-year-old posts a ton of photos, and you betcha everyone likes that. Now, make sure you check it out at Stitch Albu. Stitch is her fighting nickname that she adopted from being a fan of the animated movie Lilo and Stitch. Number 6 is Michelle Waterson. Hey, let's do a quick name drop here. Her Instagram, with over 1.6 million followers, shows her meeting former US President Donald Trump. Clang! Her nickname is the Karate Hottie. This 34-year-old is a little powerhouse, I can tell you. But don't let her good looks fool you, though. She knows exactly what she's doing in the octagon. Cowboy Donald Cerrone saw her potential and helped her to transition from being a ring girl to pro MMA fighter with her Ring of Fire 28 debut. As she advanced, she signed on with the UFC in 2015. She's married to US Armed Forces boxing champion Joshua Gomez and is a proud mama. Yet another proficient fighter with a killer smile. You go, girl. Paige Vanson, in at number 5, has been MMA's sweetheart for many years. Her name is one of the most searched female fighters in the MMA. Yeah, she has the looks, but man, can she fight. No joke. She has wins over big names like Rachel Ostovich, Beck Rawlings, and Felice Herring. Paige's accomplishments include MMA, modeling, and she's an author, and has also appeared on Dancing with the Stars and the TV show Chopped. Her MMA destiny took her family to Nevada, where she just happened to meet superstar Ken Shamrock and trained at his gym. She began fighting in 2014 with her UFC debut, beating Kaylin Karan with a TKO at UFC Fight Night. Anyone who knows her will tell you that she has a crazy, fun-loving personality and is always joking around. You would be hard-pressed to find one of these fighters that has a bigger following. Paige boasts over 3.2 million followers on social media. She came, she saw, she conquered. Number 4 is Holly Holm, and she has 2.2 million followers on Instagram. Now, Holly originates from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Her boxing record is an astounding 33 wins, 2 losses, and 3 draws, winning both the WBF Female World Light Welterweight and World Welterweight titles. In 2012, she was named Female Fighter of the Year. She is an 18-time world champion across 3 weight classes. Some people think that her boxing career is the best of all time. In her entire MMA career, she has won 14 hard-won fights and only lost 5. She's a very technical and calculated fighter who is very, very well coached. Many fans follow her on social media to admire her fighting skills. Oh, and yeah, because she's a real beauty. She is fit as. She is classy and doesn't really share any provocative posts, which shouldn't be too big of a surprise as she is the daughter of a preacher. Hey, we're men. Number 3 is Anastasia Yankova, who's a mixed martial arts expert hailing from Russia. She started karate at the age of only 6. Now, she trained all the way up to 14 years old. She did drop fighting to focus on school and college, but she eventually realized that she missed the ring and got back into the fights and started Muay Thai training. Not long after, she started entering kickboxing tournaments. She became a Muay Thai champion and she transitioned back into MMA. She sometimes trains at the American Kickboxing Academy in Thailand. Signing with Bellator, she kicked butt in her first fight at Bellator 152 in Torino, Italy. Her last fight was in 2018 in Bellator 200. Her claim to fame is that she is sponsored by Nike and appeared in a short film and advertisement for Nike. That's a pretty big deal, and so is her social media following. Let's get ready for a rumble. We picked Gina Carano for number 2. Now, many of you are going to say we should have put her at number 1, and I can tell you it was so close. So make sure you tell us what you think in the comments below. Now, she's an absolute scream queen. Her appearances include The Mandalorian, Haywire, and Fast and Furious 6. Okay, back to fighting. She has been called the face of women's MMA. She's originally from down in Texas, USA, but she trained out of Las Vegas. Her dad is former Dallas Cowboys quarterback Glenn Carano, which leads her into a natural athleticism. She led her high school basketball team to a state title, and her grandfather was her coach. That meant she inherited his aggressive play and determination. Now, that also led her to the most personal fouls in the entire league. And that's a good segue into MMA. She began with Muay Thai with a record of 2-1-1, catapulting her into MMA with a 7-1 UFC record. Carano was named Hottest Woman in America by Big Biz magazine in spring 2008. On May 13, 2008, she was the most searched person on Google and 3rd searched on Yahoo. Carano was ranked number 16 in AIM's Hot 100 list in 2009, and she was one of the few athletes to make the cover of ESPN magazine's body issue in 2009. Carano's cage skills are real, I can tell you. Her infectious personality, stunning beauty, and humility earned her a large fan base of over 1.8 million followers. Mad respect. Now, of course, Misha Tate is in the number 1 position as her elegance and attractiveness easily earns her this spot, but also out of reverence and tribute to her being one of the pioneers of women's MMA. She has been an inspiration to many females around the world to strive to be the best they can be in many areas of their lives. This 37-year-old Tacoma, Washington native has become a household name in women's MMA. Tate slowly learned more about how mixed martial arts worked. Unlike wrestling, it allows the use of strikes along with grappling. Okay, now for the history lesson. In March 2006, she took part in her first amateur bout against Elizabeth Pacena, who specialized in Muay Thai. In 2009, 2 years after she made her professional debut, she took part in and eventually clinched the FCF's Women's Bantamweight Championship. Her first title defense took place against Ronda Rousey, who made her MMA debut in 2011. Their bout took place on 3rd March 2012, which was televised on Showtime. Now, despite putting up a brilliant fight, Tate was defeated and lost the title to Rousey, thus beginning a years-long rivalry. She made her UFC debut in April 2013 and took on Zingano in the Ultimate Fighter 17 finale. It was revealed that the winner would fight against Ronda Rousey for the UFC Women's Bantamweight Championship. Though Tate won the first 2 rounds, she was beaten by Zingano in the final round. Later, after Zingano decided to withdraw as Rousey's opponent because of her knee injury, she was replaced by Tate. The fight took place on December 28, 2013 at UFC UFC 168, where Tate lost in the final round to an armbar after managing to escape 2 submission attempts. The following year, Miesha Tate faced Liz Carmouche in April 2014 at the UFC. The fight resulted in a victory for Tate, which was also her first win in the UFC. She next faced Rin Nakai, a newcomer at UFC Fight Night. Once again, the fight resulted in a win for Tate. In April 2015, Tate surprised the MMA community by out-grappling McMahon, who was an Olympic medalist. The fight resulted in a victory for Tate, after which she was declared the top fighter by FoxSports.com. Holly Holm defeated Rousey for the UFC Bantamweight Championship in November 2015. In January 2016, it was announced by the UFC that Tate would be fighting Holm for her first title defense at UFC 196. In March 2016, Tate managed to beat Holm through a technical submission, becoming the new UFC Bantamweight Championship. Well deserved, as she worked so hard to get to this point and never gave up the dream. In December 2016, Miesha Tate announced her decision to retire from MMA after spending a decade in the octagon. Miesha leaves behind a legacy of grit, championships, accomplishments, grace, beauty, and athletic sexiness. Now, that is going to be very difficult for any fighter to match in the future. Miesha Tate, the beauty of the ball of MMA. We salute you.